Hi, I'm Tish and welcome back to my YouTube channel Auto Social UK. Now in today's video we're going to be taking a closer look at the Kia E-Niro, which is Kia's fully electric family SUV. Now since the E-Niro was launched, it's gained a bit of a reputation for itself because it offers Tesla style range but at a much more affordable price. Although since its launch, the market has become much more crowded with fully electric SUVs. Most recently, the Volkswagen ID.3 and 4, and then the Skoda Enyaq, which is slightly bigger. But is the Kia E-Niro still one of the best family electric SUVs you can buy? Well, hopefully that's what I'm going to answer in today's video. So if that sounds good, then please keep watching. And if you like new car reviews and car content, then please don't forget to go ahead and hit the subscribe button. Now recently I've actually had the Kia's brother on the channel, which is the Hyundai Kona, and I really liked that car. These two share similar components, and you can tell from just looking at them that they're related. I said that the Kona had kind of an emotive Pokemon feel, and I definitely think the Kia E-Niro also has that. Although these scoops on the bonnet give it a slightly more aggressive feel with these slanty style headlights. But overall, it's still a pretty appealing car. But you can tell why this mainly is directed towards families with kids, because it does have that fun kind of style. You can tell this is the fully electric model because it's got the blue above the fog lights and also surrounding the bottom half of the grille. You can also see that the front grille has been blanked off because it's not actually needed to cool the engine. Now on the Hyundai Kona, they've actually decided to smooth this off completely, which I wasn't sure if I liked. On the E-Niro, they've stuck with this kind of diamond design, which I think makes it a little bit more interesting. The E-Niro comes in 3 levels of specification. You've got the entry level 2, which can have a larger battery, or to save money, you can get in the option of a smaller battery, which I'll explain in a little bit more detail later on. You've then got a level 3 and a range topping 4 and 4+, which are only available with the larger battery. All levels of the car come pretty well specified as standard. You get 17-inch alloy wheels, which is something you definitely don't get on the ID.3 and 4. And all versions of the car come standard with roof rails. Even the entry-level 2 trim is well equipped, with dual-zone climate control, 17-inch alloy wheels, automatic lights and wipers, keyless entry and start, a 7-inch driver's display, adaptive cruise control and a rear-view camera. Level 3 adds full leather upholstery, a heated steering wheel, electric heated front seats, wireless phone charging, front parking sensors and a larger 10.25 infotainment screen with built-in sat-nav and online features. This top-spec trim adds a tilt and slide sunroof, LED headlights, a memory function for the driver's seat and door mirrors, ventilated front seats, heated outer rear seats, ambient lighting, a punchy JBL stereo, and extra safety kit such as blind spot monitoring. The E-Niro has a great amount of storage space for a small electric SUV. Inside the boot there's 451 litres of space, which is more than you'll find in the Nissan Leaf and in the Vauxhall Mokka-e. If you still needed more boot space than this, then you might want to look at something like the Skoda Enyaq, which I've recently reviewed and you can check it out there. It's also very practical. There's a nice flat load bay for lifting things in and out of the car, and you've also got quite a large amount of underfloor storage, which is perfect for popping away your cables. Rear interior space is actually pretty good and bigger than you'll find in its sibling the Kona. I can comfortably sit 3 people side by side back here, and because it's fully electric there's no transmission tunnel, meaning that you've got plenty of leg and knee space as well. When you're not sitting 3 people, there's a pull-out centre armrest with a couple of cup holders, and you've got 2 ISOFIX fitment points back here. Unfortunately though, it's not all great because you haven't got any USB charging ports. You'd need to run them from the centre armrest, which isn't ideal. And the door cards are also tiny. They're only really going to fit a small bottle of water. However, there are some things that make up for it, and that's that this range-topping 4+ model comes with rear heated seats, which is a real luxury in a car of this class. So let's talk battery sizes, range and charging capabilities. Well, as I mentioned, the Kia gets two different size batteries. You've got a 39 kilowatt hour battery, which produces around 180 miles. And then you've got a second, larger 64 kilowatt hour battery, which produces a much more impressive 281 miles. Now, but you might be saying, Tish, they're not real world figures. No, they're not. They are the WLTP range figures. However, both Hyundai and Kia have proven to hit close to those figures. So you're going to be looking at around 150 for the smaller and 250 for the larger, which is still pretty impressive. You top up the battery via a port located at the front of the car. The Kia E-Niro has 100 kilowatt charging capabilities, so if you find one of those on the go, you can top up the battery from 0 to 80% in just under an hour. Using your at-home wall box is going to take around 6 hours, and from a 3-prong charger, it's going to take about 20 hours, so that isn't the ideal thing to do. However, you do still get 2 cables included with your 3-pin and your fast charger. So if you really needed to use it in an emergency, it's there just in case. To sum up the E-Niro's interior, it's very functional and practical. However, I would say it's just borderlining slightly cluttered. There is a lot of buttons and a lot going on. It almost feels like they've tried to fit in a button for absolutely everything, when really, I know it's great to have these shortcut buttons, but we don't need to have every single functionality. Although, if you're somebody that does struggle with a lot of touchscreens, then the E-Niro is really going to appeal to you. Storage is fantastic, with 2 large cup holders in the centre armrest that have multi-use, and an additional storage section behind that. In terms of quality and materials used, there's a really nice mix of materials. I really like this chrome detailing. There is some scratchy plastics down below, but I'm not too fussed about those. There's a nice kind of like diamond detail across the gloss black. It is a bit of a shame that this is gloss black, and as you can see already, it's got pretty dusty and dirty. But then again, we're used to seeing it in a lot of these cars. The floating console in this vehicle is really nice. It gives you loads of storage out front, and sometimes these centre consoles can be a little bit flimsy. But as you can see, the Kia E-Niro is really put together very well. Everything is very solid. You've got some really nice physical dials which have quite a nice feel when you press them, so you know that you've definitely hit them once you're driving along, which is definitely my preference over touchscreen buttons. If you opt to go for the entry-level, smaller 39 kilowatt hour battery, you get an 134 brake horsepower motor, and that will propel the Kia E-Niro from 0 to 60 in around 8.2 seconds. Now, that isn't the most impressive electric car, but it is quicker out of the blocks than the Citroën EC4, the Peugeot E2008 and also the MX-30. But to be honest, none of those electric SUVs were particularly built for speed. Something like the Volkswagen ID.3 does have a much better performance. And if you did want to keep up with the ID.3, then you're going to want to opt for the larger 64 kilowatt hour battery, which actually gets 201 brake horsepower motor, which is quite impressive, and drops the 0 to 62 time from 8.2 to around 6.5. Yes, okay, it's not Tesla quick and it's not going to throw you back in your seat, but actually, for an SUV, that's quite impressive. Of course, one of the most important things when picking an electric car is how far it will go. And the smaller battery Kia E-Niro will do around 180 of claimed miles, and then the larger will do around 282 of claimed miles, which is pretty impressive. However, I would argue that the more important factor is, can it stick to those? And you know what? The Kia E-Niro has proven itself to be pretty good at sticking to its claimed mileage. Yes, okay, it won't always hit those figures, but people that own the Kia E-Niro have said that actually it gets pretty close. And even in really, really good conditions, it can suppress that. Some people with the larger battery Kia E-Niro have seen over 300 miles, which is really, really impressive. Ride comfort sits somewhere comfortably in the middle. It's not as firm as something like the Volkswagen ID.3 or the BMW i3, but then again, it's also not as engaging as those cars. But then it's not quite as soft as something like the Citroën EC4 or the Peugeot E-2008, which really focus on ride comfort. Now those cars are very comfortable, but the only problem is they do leave you feeling almost a tiny bit seasick because they soak up those bumps so well you feel a little bit floaty. Whereas with the Kia E-Niro, where it sits somewhere in the middle, there's a good connection with the road, you still feel some bumps, but you're not completely disconnected altogether, which actually I think is a good thing. You get a set of paddles behind the steering wheel. Now of course, because the Kia E-Niro is an electric car and doesn't have any gears, these aren't for changing your gears. These are actually for your regenerative braking. The left will turn your regenerative braking up and the right will turn it down. Now this annoys me slightly because to me, everything to the right would be increased and everything to the left would be decreased. Does anyone else's brain work like that? I feel like I should go right to turn it up and left to turn it down, but it's the opposite way round, and to be honest, once you've gotten used to it, that's a very, very small minor issue and it may just be something that's in my head. The one pedal drive is pretty good. If you put it on its strongest setting, it will almost bring you to a complete halt. It's not quite as strong as something like the BMW i3, which is famous for its one pedal drive, but it still makes the drive a lot easier. So if the larger battery car goes 100 miles further and gets from 0 to 60 in over 2 seconds quicker, is there really any point opting for the smaller 39 kilowatt hour battery? Now this is the same question I asked myself when I reviewed the Hyundai Kona, and ideally I think it all comes down to price, because really, if you're not bothered about going particularly quickly and you only really need to do a commute of around 180 miles, which will suit you fine, then it all comes down to price. If the 39 kilowatt hour battery model is quite significantly cheaper and is going to save you a lot of a month if you're going for a PCP, then I definitely wouldn't write it off. It's still a brilliant car, and 180 miles of usable range is still pretty impressive for a lot of people. Plus it will charge a lot quicker and there are some other benefits. It is lighter, but to be honest, they handle pretty much the same. So really, if there's not much of a price difference, I would absolutely go for the larger battery car. I mean, it makes sense. You get more miles, you get that extra speed. But to be honest, if the 39 kilowatt hour battery is a lot cheaper, I certainly wouldn't write it off if it fits into your life. So that all sounds overwhelmingly positive. Is there anything I dislike about the Kia E-Niro? Well, to be honest, it's quite difficult to find things that I dislike. This car is just a really good all-rounder. Yes, okay, it's not particularly exciting. The digital instrument cluster feels a little bit outdated now. It's easy to read, which is a plus. And also the main screen, I really don't like how the sat-nav or your Apple CarPlay doesn't take up the whole screen. It's split, which is a little bit annoying. But these are things that are probably going to appeal to other people. It has such a simple nature about it with the physical dials, which isn't as fiddly to use and get used to as something like the Volkswagen ID.3. It's just overwhelmingly good at what it needs to do. And if you want a car that you can trust and that you know is going to stick to those miles and be pretty reliable as well, then I think the Kia E-Niro is a great option. Finding physical stock can be really difficult at the moment. However, if you're looking to lease an E-Niro, then you could be in luck. Lease Loco is the UK's biggest lease comparison website, and right now they have some great offers on physical, I repeat physical, Kia E-Niros. However, it's not likely they'll last, so why not head over there now and browse the website. The link will be in the description box. What do you think of the Kia E-Niro? Would you choose this, or is there something else on the market you'd go for? Let me know in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this video today, go ahead and give it a thumbs up. And if you want to see more content like this, then hit the subscribe button. Thank you so much to the team over at Kia Colchester. If you was interested in testing out this car and wanted to see what offers they can do for you, then make sure you get in contact. I'll pop all their details in the description box.